Star Wars power scaling. I tell ya, it is something with many variables, many variations, many differences in how the Force works and how it operates. So, apparently, for quite some time, Star Wars power scaling for Jedi Council level Force users, such as Obi-Wan, Darth Malgus, and many others, their striking strength is considered to be automatically planet level. Back then, it was considered to be automatic, it was considered to be automatically multi-continent level, which is still considered to be high 6A. And planet level is considered to be 5B on versus Battles Wiki. This has been getting me into thinking for quite some time on Star Wars power scaling, on if they are actually planet level automatically, like it's an on switch. Like I can be planet level almost whenever I want to, easily. And the answer to that is I have a lot of doubts. For one example, in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, when General Grievous was about to punch Obi-Wan Kenobi, when he missed, he hit his ship. So instead of the ship actually being fully destroyed, like it's called the Soulless One. And the Soulless One was not fully destroyed when he hit it on impact. Like he was trying real hard with his fist, like boom. And it only dented it. That's it. So I'm just wondering myself. Versus Battles Wiki scales General Grievous to Jedi Council level Force users. Jedi Council level Force users are planet level easily. General Grievous is planet level. General Grievous punches the Soulless One, a ship in which a lot of people scale to be in Tier 8 and Tier 7. The Soulless One was only dented by his planet level punch. Wasn't hit by full impact. And I'm just thinking to myself, how is this possible? How in any shape or way is this possible? Did he hesitate or something? Or was he just like, oh no? Do you have a moment? I'm pretty sure if you punch something that's 1,000 times weaker than you, like a butterfly, I don't think hesitation is gonna save it from being alive, from being ended up in death. So he must have had really good hesitation reflex. That's all I can say on that. Especially when he was stomping on the floor in Revenge of the Sith, and the floor took no damage. Maybe the floor is planet level. Maybe the buzz droids, when they did a few damages on Anakin's ship at the beginning of Episode 3, are continent level by doing some chunks of damage on it. Who knows? Another instance of this is someone who's supposed to be stronger than Yarael Poof, the one who did the planet level feat in the Zam Wessel comic by containing the Infant of Shaa and saving Coruscant. If you consider Shaak Ti to be superior to Yarael Poof, then what does that make Galen? The one who was having trouble bringing down the Star Destroyer. And while he was distracted by the TIE fighters in doing so, the Star Destroyer should have been swapped down like as if you're swapping down a butterfly. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure the power gap between a butterfly and a human is not as high as the power gap as how versus Battled Wiki makes the Star Destroyer to Galen Merrick. And when it was falling down almost right in front of Galen couldn't push it away. And apparently, from what someone told me, it's because he got so drained. But how can you get drained by swapping something that's trying to bring something down that's like 1,000 times weaker than you? How can you get so power drained on that? And if that's the case, that's like getting tired. Okay, that's like getting tired of trying to swap down a butterfly. So if that's the case, then I would say, at least by the minute, most Tier 5 characters on versus Battled Wiki would kick Jedi and Sith's ass. This would make Darth Vader versus Madara Uchiha a quick matchup if Darth Vader loses his power that much against Madara, who's supposed to be vastly superior to the Star Destroyer. Does that mean, since Madara's that much stronger than the Star Destroyer, does that mean Vader would have to strain more? And by that, wouldn't that also mean Vader would get shrunk down in power from Tier 5 much faster than Galen? So that would mean all Madara has to do is just last a minute, and Madara wins. Besides from maybe speed, unless if that's part of the power drain as well. So, in this one, I don't know if he was being protected by Satil Shan or whatever. Jace Malcolm should have been vaporized by Darth Malgus. Unless if you want to say Jace Malcolm is planet level. Because that was like a big promotional trailer. That stuff is expensive and takes a lot of time to do. A lot of work, a lot of energy to do. So, all I can think of into this occasion, like I was having this conversation with someone about this. He said something along the lines of, well, he's using a certain percentage of his power. That would mean Darth Malgus would have to be super, super specific on using a certain percentage of his power, like 0.00000000001%, and even then that's probably too high to not waste too much of his power. But to me, I don't think by using 0.01% would be too much of a waste to use in terms of power. So the fact that Darth Malgus was just so specific and using that certain percent of his power, for a certain percentage, just to save it up for someone like Satil, I don't think it's that necessary. Logically, no one else would have used a decimal percentage that low if they were Darth Malgus. Or any type of Force user that's comparable to Darth Malgus, at least during that trailer, or at least planet-level Force users. And, I feel as if a lot of the fates, when it comes to how the power of the Force is used, people make the excuse, I've said this before in a previous video, people make the excuse that when it comes to Jedi and Force users being planet level, it all goes down to Darth Vader's quote. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force. That's like saying, okay, when people use that term in order to support the planet level feat, for them to automatically be planet level. But the problem with that is it's like saying, well, since I have faith in God, or since Bible Man has faith in God, Bible Man has the power of God. Automatically. So it's just automatic planet level for Jedi and Force users is it's really has a lot of inconsistencies, because people say that the reason why non-Force users can survive them is because of them not using that much power, when using just 0.1% isn't like much of a waste. So, trying to think of more of what to say. Oh yeah, concentration. Back to what I'm saying about concentration and how the Force grants power to the Force user, and when using it, the Force doesn't operate with just a specific bar of things, like in Yu Yu Hakusho or One Punch Man, where they have a ranking system such as Dragon Level or S Class in Yu Yu Hakusho. The Force does have characters scaled more powerful, but in terms of destructive capacity, how the Force operates is much different, at least to a certain degree. Normally, Jedi and Sith are a letter above, or like one tier letter above. And what I mean by tier letter is like 8C to 8B or high 8C to 8B. It's something like that. They're usually like one letter tier above. They're usually displayed to be powerful enough to handle the situation, but it's not impossible to overwhelm them in the situations that they are in, and such as like durability and force amplification. There's a reason why they need to use their lightsaber and why they're heavily reliant on their lightsaber. There's a very important reason on that, is that when making their body, their entire durability to withstand a blaster, it has to take a huge leap of faith. Using the Force takes a leap of faith. And that's why a lot of them don't have durability on that type of degree, and why they are usually glass cannon, because the importance of lightsaber goes to show why. And whenever they're deflecting like blasters, a lot of the times it's there's sometimes that they just use their hands to do it in terms of leap of faith. It takes very special circumstances to do that and all. So when concentration applies, how does it apply to them using planet level? Or is it just like a specific way on how they have to do it, like a technique? It's not like automatic. I mean, I guess you could say that from what Mace Windu said, Yarael Poof may have really been the best of all of them. But it just makes me wonder, back to what I was saying about Galen Merrick, when the Star Destroyer was right in front of him and he couldn't bring it down, and he got that drained over something that was over 1,000 times weaker than him, supposedly, it just makes me wonder, if the Jedi have to heavily suppress their power in order to follow their own code, what does that make for Galen Merrick and Darth Malgus? Are they following a Jedi code? Was Darth Malgus following the Jedi code deep down in his heart somehow, and using Force Lightning against Jace Malcolm? Maybe there was a Jedi code in him, when that guy's considered to be like a full-on Sith, like a bloodlusted Sith. Or Galen, I don't remember him being too into the Jedi, at least from what the game has indicated, or the PS2 version. Did the novelization indicate something like, I want to follow the Jedi code? Coda convinced me to do it. I didn't really get that much of an impression of him being so motivated to follow the Jedi code like that. I mean, like, was it his father that inspired him to do it? Who knows? But for one thing's for sure, Galen Merrick was straining when he was trying to bring down that Star Destroyer, and when it was right in front of him, he was just like, "I can't do it," even though it's only supposed to be like a butterfly heading towards a human. This makes no sense. I'm trying to bring down something that's like a butterfly to a human. I'm the human, and that's the butterfly. Where does this make any logical sense? You see what I'm saying? I hear people getting really stirred up over characters winning against fights that are against someone who's more than double their strength by just pure fighting, not much tactic. And I'm just thinking to myself, should that be much of a problem for me when writing a story? Should that be much of an issue for me when I write a novel and I do some type of writing, like I have characters stronger? Because I've done that. I wrote a character who was 10 times stronger than a heroic protagonist, despite the fact that the heroic protagonist lost. He was able to put up some type of fight, surviving a lot of beatings, too. Yet, something that's just 10 times doesn't get a free pass, but yet the Star Destroyer that was 1,000 times weaker, that was making Galen struggle, okay? Like if the Star Destroyer 1,000 times weaker was making Galen struggle, Jace Malcolm was able to hold on for a moment against Darth Malgus. They get a free pass when Darth Malgus is supposed to be over 1 billion times stronger. Galen is supposed to be well over 1,000 times stronger than the Star Destroyer. You're saying that if I'm a Star Wars writer, I can get away with this? I can get away with writing something like this? This doesn't make any sense. I hear things on strategies about how people just criticize logical decisions about how characters combat each other in terms of tactics in Star Wars all the time, non-stop, every day. Yet this is not addressed when it's about actual might, force use, the primary factor to using a strategy. Because without it, you can't execute anything in terms of actually killing or hurting someone or subduing someone. Like, can I really, like, all of that? Okay, all strategies doesn't get a free pass in Star Wars, yet I can get a free pass writing something like this in a story. Is that what y'all are telling me? I don't understand this at all. And you guys could have addressed something like, well, okay, in terms of the use of the Jedi code and how they suppress themselves, like how what was his name? Gandalf. How Gandalf sealed his power. You could have done something like that, or so like you could have said something on the bar of that, like they use a certain cap of combating against characters, and they're usually displayed on that type of power, but their uncapped is much higher. Y'all could have done something like that in terms of power scaling, but you made it seem as if that when it comes to characters fighting something way abysmally stronger, it's disregarded. And from a writing standpoint and writing a story, I just feel as if, okay, I see things like Obito really stretched on chapter 688, and I understand that. Yet I see constant criticism over how Star Wars fights are handled, except power scaling, as if it has no faults. The one thing that needed criticism the most doesn't have little to anything to it. And I'm just wondering, can I really get away with this? We're writing a story? I have a couple of ideas on how you could make this work. Um, A, you have them as planet level, but you also use their cap level and what they're displayed to be a part of what their feats are as well. It's somewhere in between their non-force use and their extremely amplified force use, or you could have unknown to how far the amplification goes when it comes to using the force, such as Obi-Wan Kenobi, like saying unknown with maximum concentrated force power. And it just makes me wonder, wasn't there just like something where Anakin used like some type of crater, most devastating thing ever seen? I'm pretty sure something like that would be much weaker than Yarael Poof's feat. I'm just saying. Um, there's many ways you could have handled this in terms of like how you handle Lord of the Rings power scaling and Kingdom Hearts power scaling, yet you disregard it as if that's not important to how they use fights. Because them being automatically planet level, even for Sith Force users, even for them, has a lot of questions as to how they use the Force. While I wouldn't say it's impossible for them to do it, what I'm trying to say is, at least for Jedi Council level Force users, it might not be as automatic in a flip of a switch as how the Force is. And I'm pretty sure using the Force is about concentration in terms of using it, focusing. There's a reason why Yoda said concentrate. So by that, I would say concentration really needs to be acknowledged much seriously, much more into like revisions. And I really do believe y'all need to do a discussion thread on that because there's a lot of things that just don't pan out well. And this real, like, the problem with this is that the problem with saying that Jedi and Sith Force users are automatically over a trillion times stronger than the majority of the soldiers they face is that it conflicts with the very name of Star Wars, really, and it conflicts with just a writing standpoint because let's say I'm a writer, I'm writing planet level characters and they're going up against city block level characters. Like I'm writing a Sith, Darth Malgus. Besides from people like Satel Shan and that are comparable or similar, Darth Malgus just dominates the battlefield. Or just have things like Count Dooku or Asajj Ventress, General Grievous, whenever there's not much Jedi around. General Grievous would just dominate the battlefield. Like, no one should stand a chance against these people. Like, Gungan's weapons wouldn't mean much of anything against General Grievous. The Soulless One is supposed to be 1,000 times weaker than a Star Destroyer, and a Star Destroyer is supposed to be 1,000 times weaker than a Jedi Master. So when writing this, I'm just thinking to myself, how am I going to have these characters pose a threat to something that is abysmally stronger than them? How am I going to do that? Short answer is either I don't, like, even then, non-Force users were threats to Sith Lords. They were threats to them in some way. Yes, it required skill, but like the actual when you're that much powerful, that's like saying Dark Tournament Saga or Spirit Detective Saga Yusuke and Hiei can beat Sensei with just sheer skill. Well, I mean, how are you going to write that? I've been trying to figure out how to write that for quite some time in a story, and it's a grind fast. It's just so. All what I'm trying to ask is, while I understand why y'all consider to be planet level to be possible, them with their restrictions and how they use the Force and how they escalate it may need to be further analyzed, especially when it comes to concentration.